Big episode today on the PHLY Eagles podcast. We're talking quackatology, but of course, there's a very good chance that once again, Howie Roseman will make a move that waylays the entire show. And we talk about breaking news coming up next on the PHLY Eagles podcast. And welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast on a Thursday afternoon. Bo Wulf, Zach Berman here in Studio A. Zach, how you doing?
Doing great. Excited for the show.
Excited for the show. We're going to continue on with quackatology as we try to narrow down the bracket to find out who is the most likely player to be signed or traded for, added to the Eagles next week. But of course, we might get interrupted again today by breaking news. It's happened twice this week. If it happens again today, Zach, what would it be?
My guess is it would be Dallas Goedert.
And what about him?
It would be a resolution. I don't feel comfortable enough to say if it'd be one way or the other. I don't think they're going to cut Dallas Goedert. I think they would either trade him or they would give him a new deal. So I think now I'm saying one of those two things. I don't think they cut him. I think this is a week when they try to take care of kind of the big looming questions. It can't be a Cam Jurgens contract extension yet, right? Because that has to be the start of the league new year.
I believe you're right.
Yeah, so the Cam Jurgens contract extension
could also be agreed upon and then signed later. But
yeah, I think because that date has to be going into the fourth year. So I don't think it's going to be action on any of their free agents. I think look, maybe I'm wrong and they re-sign Mekhi Becton or they re-sign
Isaiah Rodgers.
But my guess is it's probably the bigger questions, and that would be Dallas Goedert from my perspective.
I'm a little bit – I don't want to get too into the Dallas Goedert discussion until we get that resolution. Yeah. But the idea that they could cut him, and I know that this was something that you heard whispered as a possibility in Indianapolis, and I know Jeff McClain reported as well on his podcast today. It's a little bit baffling to me.
I didn't hear that they could cut. I heard that there's a good chance he might not, or there's a chance he might not be back. Is kind of what I've been hearing.
Because your understanding is, if you're just thinking about this two-party discussion, Dallas Goedert wants a new deal or added money.
He has no guaranteed money.
Because he thinks that if he were on the open market this year, he would get more money than he's due, and he has no guaranteed money. And then from the Eagles' perspective, he is 30 years old and he's had trouble staying healthy. They probably don't want to make it more than a one-year deal.
Unless it's 2 years at a lower number or something of that nature. But if you're Dallas Goedert, if you hit the market, I think you're by far the top tight end on the market, and I do think you get paid.
Yeah. I mean, we just saw Tutu Atwell get $10 million.
Sure, exactly. Now, the age profile isn't ideal, but I think he's well regarded around the league. When he's been on the field, he's been productive. I do think there's a thought in the league that, first off, the Eagles have a lot of talent at the skill players, that Jalen Hurts doesn't throw to tight ends that often, that like if he's in a different system, he could be better.
I was thinking about this, and I was looking into that, and I don't know that it's he doesn't throw to tight ends that often. I mean, Dallas Goedert was, I believe, 10th in the league in target rate among tight ends, and that's playing with A.J. Brown and Javonte Smith. It's everybody else that Jalen Hurts doesn't throw the ball to. But from the Eagles' perspective, the idea of moving on from Dallas Goedert, on the one hand, I feel like, well, this is a Super Bowl caliber team. Obviously, they just won the Super Bowl. Why would they be in the business of getting rid of one of their better players when they don't really have a plan or an in-house replacement for him? On the other side, if you just think about the big picture of the group on offense, I mean, they've got a lot of guys who are getting paid at the top of their market, who are veterans. If there is a place where you could go cheap, we hear that this is a great class of tight ends. You could go into the draft assuming that even someone as late as a 4th or 5th round draft pick could step in, maybe paired with Grant Calcaterra and be okay. And then from a passing game standpoint, the thing I'm thinking of is if you really believe that Jahan Dotson is going to be a bigger part of the offense this year and can be the third option, then maybe there's room to move on from Dallas Goedert and you can focus a little bit more on the blocking there. That's sort of like twisting reality a little bit and trying to find a way to make it work. But I'm looking for reasons why they would be so eager to move on.
I don't think they're eager. I think it's just a matter of numbers, and you look at you can't pay everybody. So if it's a matter of giving new money to someone, you have to make that decision. I want to preface this by saying, like, please don't aggregate this. No one like high up at the Eagles or involved in the Eagles or has framed it to me this way. But one thing that I did hear is when AJ Brown isn't in there, you feel it, you see it, right? And no disrespect to Professor Selman, but the offense functioned.
Wow, you're sending out the Professor Selman bat signal. He might have to come on soon and answer this.
But like the offense functioned fine without that. Like there was a thought that the offense functioned without Dallas Goedert. Saquon Barkley still ran the ball without Dallas Goedert. They were still able to pass the ball without Dallas Goedert. When AJ wasn't in there, they really felt it more than when Goedert wasn't in there. I mean, you just look at, were they undefeated this year without Goedert? I believe. Is that? I mean, they didn't lose a lot of games.
They only lost. They lost the 2 games with AJ down when he got hurt, and then they lost the.
I think Goedert was back for Washington, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now again, I think Dallas Goedert's a really good player, and I think they think Dallas Goedert's a really good player. To your point about they don't have a natural or they don't have someone to step in, this is fascinating. The Eagles haven't had to find a starting tight end in 25 years. Right?
You mean had to find one from elsewhere?
From elsewhere. They went from Chad Lewis to EJ Smith. Oh, I'm sorry. LJ Smith. Sorry, EJ. LJ Smith.
I mean, it's very close.
That's a compliment, right? Yeah. LJ Smith. They went from LJ Smith
to Paul Donowich
to Brent Selleck. They went from Brent Selleck to Zach Ertz, from Zach Ertz to Dallas Goedert. There's been this progression. There's been these internal replacements at tight end. They haven't had to go out and seek a starting tight end. I was surprised the past 2 draft classes that they didn't address this position. This year's considered a good tight end draft class, but you don't know how the board's going to fall. I don't love this free agency class. Actually, the news broke yesterday when we were at the news about Zach Bond, when we were talking about Tommy Tremble, who I think is probably the best like upside fit. I do think a player that would intrigue me in a trade is Michael Mayer from Las Vegas. We'll get to him. But yeah, I'll put it this way: if you move on from Goedert, I want to know what your plan is at tight end, because Dallas Goedert's too good of a player.
The one thing I would say is that I'm not advocating for this, but I think that is the one position where you probably could go in without having it filled, pre-draft. And there will be options available after the draft. This is to Howie's patience thing. And even if the draft doesn't land you someone you think can be a starter, there will probably be somebody available, before the season. But that is a bit of a risky endeavor. Yeah. I also think you could imagine, put yourself in Dallas Goedert's shoes. They just paid Saquon. Yeah. They just paid Zach Bond. Like, man, I've been here this whole time. Like, AJ got paid, Javonte got paid again. I know I got a new contract, but isn't it my turn?
I think that's part of this question, right? And I think too, I don't want to I would never talk down the fans. Like, I'm just trying to say this from the perspective of, I think there's often I think there's a view on the outside when you look at the contract and you say, well, he still has another year left, right? From the player's perspective, often they're looking at when the guaranteed money elapses on the contract. So, not to say that you can't bring him back. You can't say just like come play at this. But I think players are upset when there's no guaranteed money there. And from the team's perspective, there's no cash that you owe the player if there's no guaranteed money. This was at the heart of the Hassan Reddick situation last year. Yeah. This was, I think too, like Saquon Barkley next year, this would have come up. If they didn't give Saquon a contract extension, if Saquon got hurt this year, it's like I got no guaranteed money next year. You know, am I going to be on the team? So I think that the idea of guaranteed money resonates to the guaranteed money on that year of the deal resonates more to the players than me or the fans when we kind of look at overthecap.com, which does a great job.
Yeah, I mean, the way things generally work in the NFL is that if you are letting me play the final year of my contract, you probably don't love me.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
100%. That's a more succinct way of saying it. Yes.
So, yeah. I mean, I am very curious to see how this resolves
and
itself.
especially with Eagles.
That's exactly right. And you weren't a guy signed on a one-year deal like Zach Bond or whoever. Like, if you were a homegrown person and you're entering the final year of your deal, you know, you probably would have tried to extend me if you really loved me.
Yes. And it's why I wrote in that 25-step guide that I think the Eagles are going to have an interesting situation at safety this year.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of linebacker back in 2022 because you have both guys who you essentially have to make decisions on. Reed Blankenship's entering the last year of his deal. CJ Gardner-Johnson has no guaranteed money beyond this season. So I don't want to say you have to pick one or the other, but like if you give an extension to one, the other guy's like, well, I'm probably not a part of your plans.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like you could do some kind of Reed Blankenship extension now because CJ got paid last offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would be a reasonable thing to do. Fill us in on what is going on with the social media discussion with CJ Gardner-Johnson and Darius Slay right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm not good at deciphering social media messages. From what I have gathered, I shouldn't even say from what I've gathered. From what I've seen, CJ has kind of defended his credentials, has been saying that, or I'm trying to. Darius Slay said that Reed Blankenship would be the leader in the room unless the Eagles brought in a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
And CJ was saying that the Eagles don't need a veteran, and was talking about kind of what he provides. And they brought a veteran when he was gone, and the Eagles got knocked out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to Slay.
Poor Kevin Byard.
Yeah, seriously, taking another one. Slay put out a tweet explaining, which is something that's accurate, that Reed Blankenship is on the leadership council. Reed Blankenship in that building, in that locker room, is very well regarded for like I don't want to say leadership, but leadership for kind of the way he is behind the scenes in the locker room. He's been there for 3 consecutive years. He's going into year 4. Like CJ was here for a year, left and came back. Not to say that CJ's not viewed that way, but I could see why someone who's been with Reed Blankenship for 3 years would say Reed Blankenship would be the leader in the room. He would be the longest tenured player at that point. I don't think it's far-fetched.
You're welcome, by the way.
To say that Reed Blankenship Reed Blankenship would be the leader as the longest tenured player there, but assuming Javonte Maddox is not back, of course.
Right.
But again, I would never profess to say that I know what's going on between CJ or Slay or what's up with CJ's
Yeah, I mean,
mind.
they have each other's phone numbers. You know,
like if I do enjoy, and then I see, I do enjoy seeing the players get on and like speaking for themselves here.
Yeah,
it's fun, but I don't ascribe to like knowing what they mean sometimes when it's cryptic. That's kind of why I like being in the locker room and like asking the questions. Because you at least, even if you get you at least give them a chance to answer it. Like I'm not good at saying, when CJ had that tweet the other day when Saquon got the contract, like showing me respect or something, one could assume that's about his contract.
Right, you sent me a text.
Yeah, like we should talk about this. Then he says it's not about his contract. So again, I like being there by his locker, asking him the direct question.
All right. So speaking of patting ourselves on the back, let's talk about Zach Bond a day after.
Okay.
Nice job on the nail on the date.
Well, no, but this is I do owe a mea culpa because Sunset Shaz, you asked me 2 days ago if I expected a Bond resolution this week, and I said no. I think it's going to be during the tampering. I think they're going to re-sign him during the tampering period. So I did say the March 5th, back on February 18th.
I mean, for content's sake, you nailed the date. That's all that matters. Take a bunch of shots.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta.
We could do a thing. Maybe when the show's over, we'll do. I'm predicting the Eagles are going to sign or trade for Michael Mayer. I'm predicting the Eagles are going to trade for Myles Garrett. The Eagles are going to sign Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, and let's do all 64, and then we can clip it. And then when they sign it, we'll look.
No, I did think that this week, look, I did think that the Eagles were going to try to keep him off the open market.
Sure.
Like not let it get to that point. And that was said with a degree of education involved too, or that
Well, Syracuse education.
yeah, true. A Syracuse degree. But no, with like an understanding of the way they prioritized Zach Bond, with that they wanted to get a deal done, and with just the unknown nature of the open market. And so I knew this was I didn't think it was going to happen before the combine.
Yeah, I was thinking of the who's got the upper hand in the negotiation, who's got the leverage there. And obviously, like, Zach Bond has the majority of the leverage there because he can say, I'm going to go to the open market. I want to see what my value is. And so the Eagles have to come up a bit. And, it's probably a little bit above what they were hoping for. I think the Eagles' leverage in that standpoint is just like, listen, things move so quickly in free agency. Like, if you don't sign on for this now, we can't promise that this is going to be like, maybe it's I don't know if they're going to give an artificial deadline, but it's like, listen, like, if we go into free agency 12 o'clock on Monday and you're not signed, we're going to sign somebody else. That's the leverage, right?
You're right, and there are times.
And so if Zach Bond really wants to be here, this is a very good deal. Let's do it.
Everyone has different negotiation styles. Some people don't like to shop a deal. Some people say, look, if you give me this number, I'm going to sign. I'm not going to bring this to team A, team B, team C. Like, this is the number I want. If you get to this number, I will sign. I will stay. And then it's a matter of the team staying, so that, but I thought that Bond would come back or Bond's representation will come back from free agency with a sense of what the market is. I thought the middle of the week was the chance for that to happen. So that's why I said March 5th. It wasn't like arbitrary. Matt Gelb's birthday's on that day. Although Matt Gelb's birthday was on that day.
We should have had him on the show yesterday to celebrate.
Although I gotta confess, if we're doing this, I've been all over the place this week, right? Like I'm on overdrive right now. I thought Tuesday was Wednesday. And so I texted Gelb 2 days ago on Tuesday saying, happy birthday, make this the best year yet.
Yeah.
And then he was like, thanks. And we're texting back and forth.
And he never let on that you were a day early.
No. And then yesterday.
I'm going to text him right now.
And then yesterday I got the message. I got the message on my calendar. I look at my calendar. I'm going through all the stuff. And it says Matt Gelb's birthday. And I was like, dude, you didn't correct me. And he was like, he liked that I got ahead of it. Right. So yeah. But I even said at the speech the other night that I did, or I said, and we're here on a Wednesday night, and it was actually a Tuesday night. So it was kind of like that Office episode where, Dwight thought it was a Friday.
Everything in life is like an Office episode, isn't it?
Not everything, but some things, yeah.
Super chat from Claire, who says, let's give Zach his flowers for the Bond prediction. I agree. It was fantastic. And good short content. YouTube short.
Oh, okay.
10 seconds also. No.
Yes.
So that's good. All right. Anything else on Zach Bond having let it sit a day later that you want to add to that discussion before we take a break and head to questions?
Yeah, one thing I really want, and excuse me, I tweeted this, but it's something I feel strongly about, is there's this idea that Howie has changed the way he views running backs and linebackers. And I wouldn't go that far. I don't think there's been a philosophical shift. I think this has more to do with the players than the positions. So the way I would frame it is, if the Eagles didn't keep Zach Bond, I don't think they would turn around and pay a guy $15 million to play linebacker.
100%.
I think they made an exception for an exceptional player. Same thing with Saquon Barkley. I don't think last year they were going to pay that money to any running back. I think they viewed Saquon Barkley as a top of the league player that they would pay top of the league money for. So there were things. I do think they thought the running back market might have been.
Yeah, I would say there is a bit of a distinction between the two. I think with running back, there is a bit of an evolution of their thinking. I think you're right. They did identify that they thought that there was a bit of a misallocation of resources in the market
for the best guys.
Yeah. I also think they would have been willing to. I think they viewed the offense as, we were not getting enough out of that. You heard all this stuff behind the scenes about 2023. All of this, the offensive line was blocking yards before contact. We're doing great. but we're not breaking tackles. We're not getting explosives out of it. I think they identified that as something that they needed to improve. Now, obviously, Saquon is the best. I think they would have been willing to maybe play in the middle market more there than linebacker. Whereas I think linebacker, their evaluation of the position, the resources hasn't changed. It's just that this guy in this defense is worth the money for the reasons we talked about. Because there's a difference between the value of the position and the projection at the position. You can't, even if you're paying premium prices at linebacker or draft resources, you cannot guarantee that those guys are going to fit well. And then it's a real waste of money. And I just think about it from the they have been playing a bunch of penny lottery tickets at that position for a long time. And it was never worth it to them to cash in on it at just a minor profit. TJ Edwards was not worth it to them because even though it was a great return on the investment, locking it in at the level he was going to get paid for, they're not cashing in their 20 lottery tickets to get $7 back. They're going to keep playing until they get the guy, and this was the guy. And so now now it's a windfall.
You're right. I would argue the same thing for running back. They weren't going to pay DeAndre Swift what the Bears were paying DeAndre Swift. They weren't going to pay Miles Sanders what Carolina was going to pay. If they were going to go big at the position, it was going to be for a player they deemed as a special player.
Yeah,
same thing at linebacker. So, so my guess, I think philosophically, Howie believes in star players, and then I think he believes in the lines of scrimmage. So if you want to know how the Eagles will build their team, it'll be the lines of scrimmage and then star players at other spots. They would pay I think they would pay for a star safety. If Kyle Hamilton hit the open market, I think they would pay for a star safety. They could have had Kyle Hamilton in the draft, right? But that's, they were going to pay up premium picks to get Minkah Fitzpatrick when he was available via trade.
Yes.
I think they view it like they'll pay for elite players.
And I think we were talking before the show. You were saying you would be willing in if you were a GM to overspend for the best players. I think that is to some degree how they view it. That the best players in football are underpaid.
Yes.
And everybody else who is not on a rookie contract is more than likely overpaid.
You're right.
In the way that they view it.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
No problem. You're absolutely right because, I was talking to someone who I think is very smart about, team building.
Flatter me.
And he was I suppose I'm identifying that was a male here. But he was kind of comparing the NFL to the NBA. And he said the biggest difference is there's no max contracts. Right. So you could, if there's a player you really want who hits the open market, you could just outbid everyone else. Whereas the NBA, the max contract structure changes everything.
All right, let's go to the super chats.
Wow.
We have a monster super chat. Holy smokes! Jake Makes says, "End of last episode had me PO'd. Who told you guys to shove it? We are so blessed as a fan base to have y'all covering our team. PHLY till I die. 100 smackaroos. Jake, our hero. We can eat today."
I appreciate Jake.
That's
awesome.
Hard-earned money in this economy.
Jake,
unbelievable.
Jake, you don't have to spend $100 for this next one, but please tell me if you're the same Jake that I saw. I was in a coffee shop writing or a bagel shop writing over the weekend, and there was a Jake who came up to me and said, "Thank you for your service." And I said, "Excuse." I'm very careful with that. I said, "What are you referring to?" I have not served our country. And he was like, "I listen every day. It's the best part of my day." And I said, "Jake, thank you so much. I'm going to mention this on the show." So you
forgot to mention it on the show, but now he did.
You might be a different Jake, but nonetheless, thank you for your contribution, and more importantly, thank you for your nice words.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Jake, put in a different question in the chat so we can feel like we did something else for you as well. But thank you very much. Joe Rockhead also with a super chat checking in just to show us some love, and then Matthew Greenwood says, "What did I miss yesterday? The only thing I heard is Zach wants 25-year-old girls to listen, and he likes pancakes."
Well, I would like any 25-year-old to listen, male, female, however you identify yourself. I think the young audience is very important for our show.
We're hip.
Yeah. My son comes up to me this morning and says, "Did you know that Joey Bosa got cut?" I said, I did know. How did you know? He watches.
He's drippy.
He watches YouTube Sport. He gets his news on YouTube every single morning when he wakes up. So I know young people are on YouTube. I want you watching our show. And pancakes, I grew up loving pancakes. I don't eat them as often anymore, but I did have pancakes at the waffle shop, not the pancake shop, the waffle shop in State College when I was there. And I will be in State College this year, by the way, for I believe their September 6th game. I will be there. So anyone who's there, I will be there that weekend.
Breaking news, I have received a response from Matt Gelb. I sent him a text. I said, happy birthday. Let's make this the best year yet. Obviously, this is a day after the birthday, after you went a day before the birthday. And he sends a laughing emoji. And I didn't see the Bond clip until he sent it to me last night.
Yes.
So there you go.
Yep.
All right. And with that, we head to a break. And on the other side, we're going to try to really bang through some quackatology. Do some guys, you know? All right. Let's talk about our friends at Glatt Hair Restoration. Did you know hair loss is so common that by age 35, 2/3 of men already experience hair loss and thinning? Don't stress. Glatt Hair's got you covered with cutting-edge treatments like TED, PRP, and exosomes. They help you keep the hair you already have and help bring back what you've already lost. It's not surprising that the Glatt Hair name is such a distinguished reputation. With over 30 years of experience in restoring hairlines, it's clear why patients repeatedly choose the Glatt Hair team. Glatt Hair has perfected the Glatt Hair technique, which includes one-on-one care, a 100% personalized hair restoration plan tailored specifically for you and your hair loss, follow-up care, hair loss prevention treatments, and additional services. Glatt Hair by Morgan Stern Medical is the country's premier hair restoration destination. Ready to defend your hairline? Visit glatthairmm.com, glatthairmm.com, or you can call or text 610-980-4000, and one of their team members will get you all set up.
Did you know that most Americans think they spend about $62 per month on subscriptions? That struck me as high until I realized that the real number is closer to $300. I'm curious where everyone's spending their subscriptions. I certainly hope it's all PHLY.com. But that's
a major for Jake makes.
Yeah, that is a major difference. Even if it's just a couple of subscriptions that fall off your radar, those recurring payments you don't even know about really add up. And I see this firsthand with some of the subscriptions I have. But thanks to Rocket Money, I'm no longer losing money because of the subscriptions that I forget about. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. You get alerts if your bills increase in price. If there's unusual spending activity, or if you're close to going over your budget. Rocket Money has over 5 million users worldwide, and they save a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions. Saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's features. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/PHLY. That's rocketmoney.com/PHLY. rocketmoney.com/PHLY.
All right, Zach, we return to the free agent offense region. We're about halfway through, and we look now at running backs, a pair of running backs who are likely to hit the market after their rookie contracts have expired. Elijah Mitchell. Mm-hmm. We know the Eagles have always loved 49ers. Former 49ers running backs, and so that is one to circle.
But he wasn't a third-round pick. So.
That's true. The other one is Javonte Williams, the former early draft pick of the Denver Broncos, who suffered a torn ACL early in his career. Never really looked the same, but a player the Eagles presumably would have liked coming out.
Yeah, I'm going with Javonte Williams here. I think that you can rationalize the injury part of it. A new coach, and I do think he's someone that they like coming out.
I could go either way. Okay. I don't think that either one is going to command a ton of money. I think I would lean Elijah Mitchell only in that I think he would cost less.
Yeah.
But I do think that they would presumably be more interested in Javonte Williams. So I'm happy to give this one to you and go Javonte Williams.
I don't feel as strong about that. But speaking of the Broncos, congratulations. The DNVR's Todd Davis. Did you see this?
No.
Todd Davis is leaving DNVR, unfortunately.
Really?
He took a coaching job with the Denver Broncos.
Really?
Yes.
Good for him.
I hope we don't lose Vinny Curry to the Eagles coaching staff.
Yeah.
But
What's the job?
defensive quality control coach.
Good for him.
Yeah. So always liked seeing Todd at the events the past 2 years. But Todd will be a member of the Broncos coaching staff.
Hopefully the DNVR guys have a good source in the building.
Oh, you can't tell your sourses. You
Can't tell your sources. I mean,
but they did
also, I would say, just guessing, a bit of a different lifestyle.
I would guess so. I would guess so. Different vibes too. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah. You're not working in a bar.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Sean Payton, I don't know. He gets after it.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay. All right. Now, next up, we had Tutu Atwell up against John Bates. Tutu Atwell re-signed today to a crazy $10 million deal to go back to the Rams. So let's insert. Who was another wide receiver? You know, obviously I should have done this ahead of time, but John Bates is a blocking tight end.
Okay.
Would make sense as the Jack Stoll replacement. I believe as many snaps as he's played over the past couple years, no tackle or no tight end was blocking more often than John Bates. I don't have anybody else for instead of Tutu Atwell. The internet is not good enough in here for me to find the wide receivers.
Let me just give the rundown on the first player real quick, and I will give you a good free agent for this.
John Bates was a blocking tight end who blocked more often than anybody else.
Okay.
At that level.
All right, so here's
I'll give you
here. I got you here.
Darius Slayton.
I was gonna say Alameda Zacchaeus, but okay, Darius.
Okay.
Slayton.
How about both of them?
Okay. There's are we keeping John Bates in here? Let's go.
John Bates, Darius Slayton, or Olamide Zacchaeus?
John Bates.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
I don't think they're going to... Darius Slayton's going to get real money somewhere.
Yes.
Olamide Zacchaeus isn't walking through that door.
Yes.
So let's go John Bates.
Fair enough.
All right. Congratulations to John Bates. Next up, a pair of offensive linemen. Larry Borom. Really good line I read the other day about how if the Eagles sign Larry Borom and make him the 6th offensive lineman and they get into these heavy packages, they could flash a screen up on the link scoreboard that says Borom to death.
I see what you did there.
And
you made Joey laugh.
And he is going up against James Daniels, the versatile interior offensive lineman who did suffer a torn Achilles in the middle of last season, early in the season. So presumably will be ready around the time of the start of the year. Borom, by the way, is a versatile tackle who was one of the guys who I mentioned earlier, under 30 years old, who has played at least 200 snaps on both sides, right tackle, left tackle, over the past 2 seasons.
I would have said James Daniels if he didn't have the injury, but I think that's a medical question. You don't know if, that's a major injury coming off of that. You don't know if you're going to have him this summer. So I would lean toward Larry Borom, but I really liked James Daniels when he was at Iowa. I liked him as a free agent with the Bears, and I thought he was going to do better with the Steelers. I think he has actually been productive with the Steelers, but the injury is the question.
I'm going to go Borom. I think I would be surprised if they don't add a swing tackle.
Would you prefer Larry Borom to Fred Johnson?
I think they would probably just prefer Fred Johnson. There's a known quantity there. Yeah. All right. Last matchup of free agent offense. It was originally Alex Kappa against Ben Cleveland. Alex Kappa, released by the Bengals, signed yesterday by the Las Vegas Raiders. So instead, let's do Kendrick Green here, who the former high pick of the
Texans.
I think he was Steelers.
Steelers
Traded to the Texans.
Yep.
Backup. Can play multiple positions. He goes up against Ben Cleveland, who was a starter at guard for the Ravens, lost his job last season, enters the market.
Kendrick Green doesn't strike me as a Stoutland guy in terms of the size.
Ben Cleveland to me actually makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. So I'm going with Ben Cleveland here.
So Ben Cleveland is a hulking body at guard, which is what Stoutland likes. He'll have the early round pedigree, and to me would be like the right level of player to sign as a Band-Aid / low bar for Tyler Steen to clear if you want him to win that job.
Agreed. And Georgia guy.
And the Georgia guy.
Yes. Whenever you say Alex Kappa, though, I think of one of the smartest people Julia knows. So that's when you said it to me the other day, we're going to talk about Alex Kappa. I was like, really?
Is that his name or a similar name?
He has a similar last name.
Alex Kaplan.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
They named those SAT tutoring classes after him.
They could have. I think he like aced the SATs. Brilliant guy. And a great
1600.
guy. And you know what? Better guy than he is smart.
Well, then he can't be that smart.
No, he's that good of a guy.
No, let's not get into LeBron territory here, where like he's got to be like 99% on one of the two things.
Well, so you actually, I know you don't listen to Part of My Take. They had an interview with Nick Sirianni. It was a good interview, and they actually got Nick on this because Nick was talking about Saquon and was like, and a better guy, and they're like, there's no way he's a better guy, and they're like, he's not one of the 10 best people in the world.
Yeah,
and Nick's
that's been my take for decades.
Yeah. So and then Nick was like, well, there's a lot of people in the world, and they're like, exactly. He's one of the 10 best running backs, or he's one of the 10 best football players in the world. He's not one of the 10 best people in the world.
Right.
And then Nick's like, okay, yeah, I guess you're right. He's like, so better player than person.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was actually a good shtick that they did.
All right. Let's move now to the final region, the trade/cut possibilities, and we start with the headliner, Myles Garrett. So
yes.
How real do you think the Myles Garrett flirtation is for the Eagles? Is it even feasible? He's going up against Jonathan Allen, the longtime, very good Commanders defensive tackle who has been bandied about as a potential cap casualty.
I do think it's feasible. We talked about this we talked about this earlier this week, and I believe that the Max Crosby deal, you've raised that contract. You're looking at $35 million plus. But I stand by this. Until I see Myles Garrett on a different team, then I am not going to rule out the Eagles because I think there is definite smoke there. I agree with, Howie Roseman was speaking theoretically, but that it's more difficult. I think it's more difficult this year than it is in other years. I don't think it's the trade compensation. I actually think it's the contract that's more of the issue. I think the Eagles would agree to a trade compensation here. But like Fran said the other day when he was in, that this could actually linger post-June 1st just for the Browns end of this. And if that happens, I actually think maybe the Eagles can figure out some things. Cap-wise, they have some money coming, though. So these post-June 1st cuts, the money actually doesn't come off the books until after June 1st. That's something that's important. The player's free to sign elsewhere now, but the cap relief doesn't come until after June 1st. And I think the position obviously is a position they prioritize. I think that the window, even if he's 29 years old, that's an older profile than Jason Peters and A.J. Brown, than Jalen Ramsey when the Eagles were interested in him. I think you can look at a 3 to 5 year window where he's still one of the elite players in the league. That matches up with the Eagles' timeline here. And I think like personality fit, Myles Garrett would make a lot of sense. And as we've talked about on a number of occasions, Myles Garrett could narrow the market based on who he's willing to sign with.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, I think it's less likely that he's an Eagle than more likely.
Sure.
Obviously.
Sure.
He's not on the team right now. And I do still, I'm wary of the idea that the Eagles would be willing to wait and head into the offseason not having the whatever prime addition they're thinking they're going to have. But, of course, if Myles Garrett is available, Howie Roseman is going to be interested, right? And he's going to do his due diligence. Whereas the Jonathan Allen thing, I don't think that that's a match for them because he's going to get a lot of money, and at that position, they're not going to commit more than 1 year of serious money when they have the Jalen Carter contract most likely coming up next offseason.
You're right, and I think that factors into the Myles Garrett discussion too because it's also I think Jalen Carter is going to become perhaps the highest paid defensive player in the league next year, right? At the start of the I think when we do this show next year, we'll be talking about Jalen Carter on the verge of getting paid. So that's something that the Eagles need to, it wasn't lost on me that Howie talked about those extensions coming up in 26 and 27 when he was talking about what they need to factor in this offseason. But Myles Garrett is an A++ player, and the Eagles would be interested in an A++ player.
All of those contracts coming up, it does make me think that they're going to add a little bit more offense in the draft than people might expect.
That's a good point.
Just to balance that out.
That's a good point.
All right, let's talk next round. So Myles Garrett moves on. Next up, Joey Bosa, who, as Reed Berman broke, was released by the Chargers last night. I thought it was a very good tweet. Actually, I believe it was a Blue Sky from Kevin Van Valkenburg about, it was like, Joey Bosa, one of the best Chargers of all time. And it was like, that is such a backhanded compliment for both sides. Like, Joey Bosa goes up against Isaac Seumalo, old friend who is a potential casualty of the cap for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, Joey Bosa's missed a lot of time during the past few years. He's missed over 20 games in the past.
Yes. Also, that
years.
video of him with the Eagles fan is very, very, very funny from before the NFC Championship game.
I think it's like, Eagles
That guy's
fans
not coming here.
Eagles fans were booing Saquon. I get it. You cheer against the guy on the other team. You cheer for the guy on your team. But Joey Bosa, and I should also say Nick Sirianni was with the Chargers during probably Bosa's 2 most productive years. I know his first year with Brandon Staley, he had, I think, 7 forced fumbles, but he was outstanding as a rookie and a second-year player. Nick Sirianni was there. I think at this stage of Bosa's career, I don't know if that's where the Eagles would go. I know we'll get to the other Charger. I think they'd be more apt to go with, what's that?
I said they're not adding that guy. Joey Bosa? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule it out, but it's not.
I feel like I could rule it out.
Okay.
I mean, not definitely. I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
I can't.
And I know Isaac Seumalo is someone that they hold in high regard in that building.
Yeah. Do you think if they sign Seumalo, that would? I'm skeptical that they would sign him and not have him be the starter.
Do you think he's going to get cut? Like, do you think?
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think him and Daniels gets cut.
Okay.
And
they're going to lose Dan Moore.
Exactly.
Right,
yeah. But no, I think Seumalo is like such a respected team guy that I could see him being the 6th, being the backup interior, play multiple spots. But Stoutland holds him in such high regard as well.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, your boy Michael Mayer, the tight end from the Las Vegas Raiders, was a 2nd-round pick, and then all of a sudden they take Brock Bowers and he takes over the league. So he is displaced and had something of an off-field situation going on last year.
Yeah.
He's going up against Harold Landry, the star Titans edge rusher, who is getting a little bit up there in age.
Yeah, so with the off-field thing, it's not like a legal thing. It was a personal matter.
Yes.
But I think Michael Mayer makes a lot of sense. This was a high 2nd-round pick who was very well regarded coming out of Notre Dame, was real solid as a rookie. Again, Brock Bowers was a special prospect. The Raiders take him. They've had 2 regime changes since Michael Mayer was taken. Still young, still on his rookie deal. Has an enticing profile. I think this is the type of player the Eagles would target if they moved on from Dallas Goedert.
Is he John Mayer's brother?
He is not John Mayer's brother. No.
Okay.
No.
Your tight end is a wonderland. I don't know. That wasn't bad. GMs be good to your tight ends too.
You do break out in song in the show.
I never. Okay. At what point did I ever dispute that I break out in song on the show?
Yeah.
I feel like that second one was better.
Okay. You like John Mayer?
When I think of John Mayer, what do you think of?
I think of a quote in GQ. Was it GQ or Esquire?
I think it's the same thing.
Okay. Yes, I think of that.
Yes, I think of describing
Jessica Simpson.
Yes, sexual napalm, I believe, was the.
You said it, not me.
It's a good legacy to have. All right, so congratulations to Michael Mayer, who's going over Harold Landry. Next up, the other poster boy from the thumbnail of this episode, Jaire Alexander, the Packers corner, inside-outside versatility, has had trouble staying healthy. A bit of an acrimonious relationship with that team, it feels like. And he's going up against Kendall Fuller, ya boy.
Do you know where Jaire Alexander was born? Not where he grew up, where he was born.
I'm guessing somewhere just outside Philadelphia.
Right around here in Philadelphia.
Okay.
He was born in Philly. He moved to North Carolina as like a toddler. So I know I wouldn't say he's from here, but I mean, one of these hospitals around here, I assume he was born in. I think Kendall Fuller's the more likely. I don't think either one, but I would think Kendall Fuller, the inside-outside versatility, similar to Alexander. But I would imagine Alexander gets paid more than what the Eagles are looking for.
Yeah, I could. I still can envision a scenario in which the Eagles use what is probably like one spot for a big money addition on a corner short term. I don't think that's what they're going to do, but I could see the thinking behind that. But I don't think it would be Jaire Alexander. What are you smiling at now?
No, I was thinking I actually have a different John Mayer memory.
Let's hear it. I don't think it would be Jaire Alexander because I think he would require more than 1 year, and I don't think that would be in their plans. But you could convince me inside outside. He makes a lot of sense with Cooper DeJean, but
Yeah.
I would
see
go
that.
Kendall Fuller just because I don't think he'll cost as much.
I can see that.
Did you go Alexander or Fuller?
I went 4.
Okay, let's go Fuller. Let's hear your John Mayer thought.
I was watching Letterman one time, and he was on, and he did a Bob Dylan cover, I believe, or
not as good as my Dylan McMahon.
no, it wasn't a Bob Dylan cover. It was is it Don McLean who did American Pie?
Yeah,
I think he sang American Pie on it. If memory serves, I remember him being on Letterman, and it was really well done. So
that's what you were smiling about?
well, I'm trying to. I don't have a lot of John Mayer notes, but that's I recall him in. I remember the interview. I believe he's from Connecticut. Is that accurate?
You tell me.
Yeah.
You saw the interview.
I mean, it was probably 10 years ago that he was on Letterman.
Yeah, but you're the one who brought it up.
Yes, yeah. So I remember him singing the song, and I believe he's from American Pie. Okay, yeah, yeah. But Letterman wasn't on 2 years ago.
It says,
so.
yeah.
When was what year was the interview done? I'm curious. Yeah, the chat can weigh in, but I do recall that from John.
Did you like the movie American Pie?
At that age, I did. I haven't seen it since middle school, but 2015, so 10 years ago. Boom. Okay.
Let's clip that. Let's get that one on social.
No, we don't need to. When I was in middle school or high school, when I was in middle school, I liked American Pie. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you? You strike me as a big American Pie guy.
No, you strike me as a big American Pie guy.
No, I can see you loving.
No, that is so up your alley.
No, I can see you loving the character Finch. You're probably a huge Finch guy. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Clearly, you are the bigger American Pie guy because you can remember the guy's name.
I'm good with names, Bo. I remember Finch. Yeah.
Okay.
But no, at that time, I really liked American Pie. I haven't seen it since then.
Okay. At that time, let's speaking of timelines, Zach, let's
there
move
you go.
on to a word from our sponsors.
Yes.
Hold on. Now go.
This is a new sponsor of ours. Timeline. Okay. I want to live a long time.
You got a built-in advantage.
That's a goal of mine. And I'm always trying to figure out ways. I'm always trying to figure out ways that I can live a long time. And Timeline is going to help because it's a health longevity product. And basically what is important to know is that the cells in our bodies are the building blocks of life. Think about that. And Timeline is a supplement that works with those cells that give you more energy, feel stronger during your workouts, and preserve health and mobility as you start to age. I got an F45 scheduled tonight at 5:15. I will be much better if I take Timeline. I know that. The patented ingredient is MitoPure, a postbiotic nutrient that clears our dysfunctional mitochondria, aka your cell battery packs. This isn't ninth grade science here. Okay, this is real stuff that is important to know. With regular use, you'll see and feel the difference in the form of improved energy levels, better workouts, faster recovery, more endurance, and more. And MitoPure recharges your cells and helps your body system work better. It's the only supplement that is clinically proven to rejuvenate health at the cellular level. I'm eager to take it and to feel the great effects of it. Get ready to be your best, most energized, most revitalized you. Right now, listen to this. Timeline is giving you 10% off your order of MitoPure. Go to timeline.com/PHLY. That's timeline.com/PHLY to try it today.
And I will tell you about our friends at HelloFresh. If you are tired of figuring out what's for dinner night after night, especially on those busy weekdays, get dinner done the easy way, thanks to HelloFresh. What do we talk about? We talk about when you are in charge of dinner, you got to try to figure out a way to check 3 boxes. You want something that's easy to make, that's fast. You want something that tastes good, and you want something that's healthy. Usually, you're struggling just to get 2 out of 3. With HelloFresh, you can get all 3. Their lineup of prep and bake meals come together with minimal mess and only 5 minutes of prep, so your oven does most of the work, not you. HelloFresh's 15-minute meals are done in just 3 simple steps, so you can eat better this year without all the hassle. Save valuable time with fewer trips to the grocery store thanks to HelloFresh Market. There's over 100 add-on items you can add to your weekly box, like quick breakfasts, packable snacks, beverages, and more. Get up to 10 free meals and a free high-protein item for life at HelloFresh.com/Eagles10FM. One item per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That is up to 10 free HelloFresh meals. Just go to HelloFresh.com/Eagles10FM. America's #1 meal kit is HelloFresh.
I gotta say, idiot sandwich here, man. This offends my sensibilities. I couldn't stand Stifler. I definitely was not a Stifler guy. Stifler, like, he offended my sensibilities the way he treated people. I could never condone that. If I had to, if I'm being, no, I couldn't stand. I couldn't stand.
This
Stifler.
is the strongest you have ever come out against anybody in the world.
Yeah, well, you have to treat people with respect. If I'm being honest with you, at that age, I was
kind of Shannon Elizabeth.
I was
guy.
kind of into the Tara Reid.
Tara Reid over Shannon Elizabeth.
Well, Tara Reid had a bigger role in the movie.
Debatable.
Of the male characters, I probably like the was it Thomas Ian Nichols? Is that his name?
Okay.
I forget his name in the show, but
Henry
or in
Rowan-Gardner.
the movie. Yes, Henry Rowan-Gardner. There you go. But I actually didn't.
He was a bit of a wet noodle, wasn't he?
In what regard?
That was not sexual. Just kind of a,
I never
kind
know
of a
with
wet
you.
blanket.
I never know if HB's coming out. So no, yeah, but
For newcomers, of course, HB is short for horny Berman.
No, not at all. Not at all. All right, let's get back to it.
All right, let's get rolling. We've got 4 more first-round matchups to get to. Tyree Wilson, the former early-round pick of the Las Vegas Raiders, a second turnover, has not been super productive. However, like the cap mechanics of trading him on the third year of his deal are a little bit difficult, and he's going up against Vinny Curry's old friend, John Franklin Myers.
I'm going John Franklin Myers here. I think that's a player with inside-outside versatility in this defense. Although I actually did not like Tyree Wilson coming out. I thought it was a little overrated.
Yeah, it was like I was one of my strongest opinions from that draft.
Yeah, he makes sense as kind of like a I guess if you're looking for a former Howie's first round pick kink that he's trying to rebuild that value. But John Franklin Myers is someone who I think you can actually put into, I don't want to say like 1-for-1 in terms of the playing time Milton Williams had. You're probably giving more playing time next year, but maybe you give him 35% of the snaps, and I could see him being part of this rotation.
Totally agree. That would be the level of veteran that makes sense for them to add at defensive tackle. And you could make the case that for them, a trade is better than a qualifying comp pick signing.
Agreed.
Right. John Franklin Myers moves on. All right, next up, Dalvin Tomlinson, who I feel like has been in like 6 straight quackatologies because he's just always available and he's been around. He's going up against another one of your boys, Draymond Jones, who you called out as a possibility in the Howie Roseman, If I Were a Roseman. All day long, I'd sign, trade, and extend.
Still going?
If I were a rose.
Okay. I'm definitely going with Draymond. I am definitely going with Draymond Jones here. Draymond Jones is, if John Franklin Myers would be the B candidate, I would say, then Draymond Jones would be the A candidate. Draymond Jones, because he was cut, he doesn't affect the comp pick formula. I think he steps in as a role right away. He's a unique player. I think was used the incorrect way with the Seahawks last year, has played in Vic Fangio's scheme and done well in Vic Fangio's scheme. Good age profile, too. Still only 28 years old. I would go Draymond Jones.
I agree with you. Draymond Jones moves on. All right. I'm going to give you a few seconds to think of somebody who can replace Sam Hubbard, who announced his retirement here. Yes. And he will be going up, whoever this mystery contestant is, will be going up against Treylon Burks. Of course, the wide receiver drafted by the Tennessee Titans after they traded away A.J. Brown, and it has been a very underwhelming beginning to the career for Treylon Burks. New coaching staff, new GM. Certainly possible that they would be willing to move on. Would the Eagles have any interest there, or would they be more interested in
Andre Cisco?
Oh.
Andre Cisco is so. If I was in the Shield Kapadia role and I was ranking free agents, Shield does an outstanding job. So does Greg Rosenthal.
So does Jordan Rodriguez.
So does Jordan. So does Jordan Rodriguez. Yes, and Mike Jones. Andre Cisco
And Bo Wulf.
Yeah, but you do it Eagle specific. I'm saying.
Yes, I know.
So that's why Andre Cisco would be higher on my list than he's been. I like Andre Cisco's game. I liked him a lot coming out of Syracuse. I think that he's been a good player for the Jags. And there's been a few different changes there in terms of coordinators. They've added some players there. I don't think Andre Cisco makes as much sense for the Eagles because I think he's a starting safety, and I don't think the Eagles sign a starting safety. But there's going to be a team that signs Andre Cisco, and they are going to reap the benefits of it. And so I would go Treylon Burks here, although it's kind of like poetic justice in a certain respect.
Different movie.
What's that? Poetic justice?
Yes.
I've never seen the movie, but I know the expression. But Treylon Burks, who of course the Titans acquired for or with the pick that they traded AJ Brown, they used it on Treylon Burks. I'm going with Treylon Burks.
Speaking of horny pop culture things from our teen years.
Horny.
Okay.
I just want to make sure you said that correct. Okay.
Horny.
Corny.
No.
With a C.
With an H.
Oh, with an H. Oh.
Horny.
Were we speaking of that?
Well, American Pie.
Oh, I liked it for the character development.
Oh, sure he did. Sure he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie itself is about
I liked it for the character development. I don't know what you were into it for, but I was into it for character development.
Well, because you mentioned Andre Cisco.
Yes.
Cisco.
I know Cisco's a singer. What does he sing?
I mean, he only sings one song.
Can you sing it for me?
You must. Don't pretend like you don't know. If you know that Cisco is a singer, you know the song that he sings. You say it first.
I don't know what you're referring to, Bo.
Come on. I thought that was a musical cue.
Putting it on. Yeah.
I thought that was a musical cue. You know he's a singer, but you don't know the song?
Fiddler on the Roof? What did he sing?
The thong song.
You would know that song. Okay, now that you're saying it, I'm putting it together. But okay.
So you were lying. You are playing. Just know, listeners need to know that only one of the two of us on this show is telling the truth at all times.
When I hear the safety for the Jacksonville Jaguars, who I watched in college at Syracuse, who I identified as an under-the-radar free agent, you thought of thongs. I just want to put that out there.
No, I thought of Cisco. I mean, obviously, it's like it's an A to B to C, and eventually you get there.
I did not go there, is my point.
Okay. Thank you to all of the people watching on Fast. We've got a little bit more to get to. Actually, quite a bit more to get to on this episode. You can check it all out on allphly.com. Super chat from him who says, AJ Brown to the Pats for a fourth equals Abdul Carter and the third.
Yeah, for the number 4 pick.
Oh, for fourth. Okay, so he's saying if the Eagles trade A.J. Brown to the Pats for number 4 overall, then you could draft Abdul Carter and trade a third for DK Metcalf, presumably knowing you're going to get a third-round pick next year in the comp pick. I think that's some galaxy brain stuff.
I think what he's thinking is that you then trade your first-round pick and your third. You trade 32 and your third to get DK,
right?
And then you trade AJ and use that on the Abdul Carter pick. First off,
I don't know. That's kind of cool.
Check out the mock draft right now on allphly.com. You already said fast. Okay, good. But I don't believe Abdul Carter is going to be available at the number 4 overall pick. I'm just going to put that out there. I think,
you're probably right.
Yeah. So, but the Eagles aren't trading AJ Brown.
Him also says, keep Isaiah Rodgers, let Slay go. CJGJ is a better captain.
I think they could keep Isaiah Rodgers. I don't think Slay is returning. I don't know if CJ Gardner-Johnson is going to be a captain next year or not, but I do think CJ Gardner-Johnson is a leader on that team.
All right, last first-round matchup. Sheldon Rankins, another boilerplate veteran defensive tackle who is long in the tooth, going up against ya boy. And of all the ya boys who we have said so far, this is the ya boyest of them all.
Yes.
Kyle Pitts.
I thought, okay, we already did Baron Browning?
Yeah,
we did him. Okay.
Yeah, you had to do that was the ya boy matchup. That was Baron Browning against Jeremy Chin.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Uh, I don't think they're going to trade for Kyle Pitts right now because I don't think they're going to take on that. Although this is the thing, if you trade for Kyle Pitts, you give him a contract extension, and you bring down that year one number. So I could see that. Our friend Josh Kendall wrote a story this week, like what he's hearing about the Falcons, and he said everyone wants to know what's going to happen with Kyle Pitts. I'm one of them. I want to know what's going to happen with Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is underrated. Kyle Pitts is only 24 years old. Can you believe that? 20. He's going into year 5 in the NFL. He's only 24 years old. He's younger than Dallas Goedert was when Dallas Goedert became the starting tight end for the Eagles. Dallas Goedert was 23 when he was drafted. Kyle Pitts is going to be 25 next year. Kyle Pitts was very productive as a rookie, had 2 injury-plagued years, had a bad year last year. It happened with good quarterback play last year, so you can't even blame the quarterback situation. I am not. I'm not moving on from my Kyle Pitts position. As I said in my 25-step guide, I would call the Falcons to see what the price is for Kyle Pitts. I don't believe, from what I've heard, the Falcons are looking to trade Kyle Pitts this year. We'll see.
Okay, yards per route run over the past.
I know what the stats tell you. I watched film too, so yeah.
Okay, and you're telling me, I mean, that the 20th best tight end of the past 2 years is going to be an All-Pro and a Hall of Famer.
There's a great Malcolm Gladwell conversation that he had
that
he had with Adam Grant, who works right over there. Adam Grant is outstanding. His new book coming out. Can't wait to read it, by the way. Boots on Tuberculosis. But
let me see that thought.
But Myles Garrett, I'm sorry, Malcolm Gladwell was talking about typical performance versus optimum performance.
Sure. Yes, I've heard you mention this.
Yes. And Kyle Pitts at his optimum,
like 95 times,
is like when he's at his best. If you say bottle that up,
he can make that booty drop.
There are few players in the league who can do that. The typical performance is not. It's not much to write home about. You view it as a depressed asset. If you get him for a 4th round pick, I would be interested in Kyle Pitts. I don't think the Falcons are moving on from him.
Okay.
What do you think? This was your prediction last year that they trade for Pitts.
Well, I said that I could see the Eagles doing this kind of thing. It wasn't a prediction that they will.
Okay.
But if it happens, we will rewind the tape, and I will take credit for it.
Yes.
Listen, he's the kind of player who the Eagles would be intrigued by because he was super highly thought of coming out. He's a young player. They can talk themselves into in this offense. He will have more opportunities, and there won't be as much asked of him. That's fine. I don't think that. I mean, depending on whatever you would get for Dallas Goedert is, I don't think that trading away Dallas Goedert, bringing in Kyle Pitts, whatever the value is there, makes them that much better.
You go from age 30 to age. You go from guy in his age 30 season to a guy in his age 25 season. That's the big difference. Kyle Pitts.
Well, the big difference is one guy can play tight end and one guy is a wide receiver.
Kyle Pitts is not a wide receiver. He is a tight end. He doesn't block as well as Dallas Goedert, but there are things that he does really well. I think he needs to do a better job finding soft spots in zones. Look.
Well, you watch film, so you tell me.
I think he could do a better job finding soft spots in zones. But I think that there are parts of his game that can be refined. But look, I'll defer to Fran. Fran's in the chat. Kyle Pitts was as clean of a prospect as there's been coming out in a long time. And he was really productive as a rookie. He had a tough injury year 2. Struggled coming back from that year 3. I have I can't defend last year. Last year, he was far too inconsistent. Okay. But you know what? That type of profile was discussed last year about a guy named Saquon Barkley.
Sort of.
Yeah. I mean, Saquon wasn't nearly as, he was most productive earlier in his career. He did have 1 year.
Yeah, I mean, Saquon had a much better track record than Kyle Pitts did.
But he had injuries. He was a highly drafted player who
that's why I think it is a profile that they would be interested in.
Yeah.
But I believe more in Saquon.
I'll put it this way:
I do in Pitts.
If Kyle Pitts was a free agent, I think the Eagles would be more apt to do it. I think I think the resistance here might not be from the Eagles side. I think the resistance could be from the Falcons side. I don't think the Falcons are trading him for a mid-round pick.
Either way, I'm moving him on over Sheldon Rankins.
Hey, you don't have to convince me of that. Let's do it.
Okay. whatever.
What?
Well, this is predictive.
Yes. I mean, I'm saying I don't, but look, if the Falcons made him available, I think the Eagles would be interested. For sure.
Okay.
I'll put it that way. Also, unlike, the Falcons would save all the money if they traded him. So this isn't something where there's no contract ramification. Like the Myles Garrett thing, the Browns would take a big cap hit. It doesn't serve the Browns to trade him. The Falcons, they can get out of $10 million by trading Kyle Pitts right now.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I'm moving on Pitts.
Let's do it.
We're gonna go through. We're gonna do a quick version here.
Okay. Yeah, we don't
of
need
the
this.
second round.
Yeah, we already broke down the players.
So that on tomorrow's show we can just go in with the Sweet 16.
Okay.
Okay. So we go to the edge region. We go back to Khalil Mack going up against Derek Barnett. To me, this is an easy one. And I think the Khalil Mack thing is a real possibility. Now, I think that the Chargers, having released Joey Bosa and created that room, will probably make a big effort to bring Khalil Mack back. Yeah. I have no sense of what his interest is in staying or seeking out the market.
I've heard interviews with Khalil Mack talking about how much he liked Vic Fangio. And, him and he was very productive for Fangio. And you know what Fangio thought of him because the Bears traded 2 firsts to go get Khalil Mack. And that Bears defense was the defense the Eagles played in the playoffs in the 2018 season was awesome. And Khalil Mack was their blue chip player. So, yeah, I mean, I still think they would prefer Myles Garrett, but that there's less resistance to getting Khalil Mack. And if you're talking about the Eagles like Nolan Smith, the Eagles like J.L.X. Hunt, Khalil Mack fits as kind of, and if I think the Eagles are going to take an edge rusher either first round or certainly first, their top 60 pick, with one of their first 2 picks, I think they go edge rusher. So Khalil Mack makes sense as even like a placeholder while you develop that guy.
Yeah, you cannot operate as if you're going to take a position, especially when you are that late in the draft, right? There are so many variables. To me, what makes sense about Khalil Mack is if you're just thinking about that versus Myles Garrett, like if we want to add a great edge rusher, a veteran edge rusher to this team, if we can sign up for Khalil Mack now, and that means we can't sign Myles Garrett, or trade for Myles Garrett, that probably makes sense because there's still obviously no guarantee you're going to be able to do the other thing, and you don't want to be left with neither of them. So I do think that Khalil Mack makes some sense.
I know you've done work on this in the past. Is it fair to say edge rushers age better than other positions? Like you're not as concerned about the age profile for Khalil Mack as you are like an old corner.
Yeah, I think the less they have to play in space,
Yeah.
that is better. I think that bears out. And also we know that the Eagles in their past have not been too worried about the age at that position.
Although Robert Quinn didn't work out. But
certainly did not. All right, next up, Joseph Osai against Dayo Odingbo. Joseph Osai, of course, the edge rusher from the Bengals, and Odingbo, the guy who can play a little bit of both defensive tackle and defensive end, but will cost significantly more money.
Yeah, I'm seeing more reports out now that Odingbo's a guy who's going to get paid. And so I think Odingbo's the better fit, the better player. But given the fact that the Eagles just paid for Zach Bond, I think Osai probably makes more sense from a cost perspective. But I'm okay going Odingbo because the Eagles do. I think this Bond cap number is going to be low, relatively speaking. So I think the Eagles will be in a position to add like an $8 million guy, $10 million a year guy.
Yeah, I think I feel the same way. I think Odingbo is like borderline an ideal fit, but I think probably more expensive than they're willing to spend there. And Osai would be a guy that you can add to the rotation.
I see here in the, I know we're only supposed to read it if they're super chats, but Mac only makes sense. This is from Jay Short. Mac only makes sense if BG doesn't come back. I don't think Brandon Graham's coming back. I think Brandon Graham's going to retire.
Interesting.
So, we'll see.
I feel like you were a little bit more on the fence about that a week ago.
No, not a week ago. Before the Super Bowl, I was a little bit more on the fence. Since then, I think Brandon Graham's going to retire.
Okay. Now, last year, this is when we heard, right?
That's
about
true.
Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox, right?
It's true.
So theoretically, we would be hearing anytime if that were the case.
True. Now he is, as
should we keep the show going?
As Derek Gunn said on 97.5 this week, and this, you saw him at the Sixers game. He retore that triceps.
That's crazy, man.
I do know that's the case. So, he is recovering right now. So, there's also a part of this where he's actually still, when you have an injury, you still kind of go to the team for.
Right.
So I don't know how that affects things because there
Oh,
might
I
have to be
see.
like an
Right.
injury settlement and that. So
Mhm.
yeah. So I don't know how that's gonna work.
Interesting. Joe wants to know what date you think he's going to retire.
You know what? I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead on
Okay.
that one, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, he's a married man. He doesn't need to be dating anymore. Next
No,
up,
well, no, you should always take your wife on dates, right? You never, yeah, yeah. I'll never stop going on dates with my wife.
amen. Next up, Malcolm Kuntz, the young
Yes.
edge rusher, had a breakout season a year ago and then missed the entire 2024 season with an injury. Potential chance to get a guy who's ascending for less than he might otherwise go for. Going up against the Wulf stamp of approval, Anthony Nelson from the Tampa Bay Bucks.
So I've learned in 6 years doing a show with you, don't disagree on things when you feel strongly about a player.
Well, but this is me liking the player, not saying that the Eagles are going to be
I
interested.
like the Kuntz profile better, but I'm okay going. Like I don't feel strong enough that if this was Malcolm Jenkins, I'm pounding the table. Malcolm Kuntz, I'm not pounding the table. So I'll defer to you on this one. You going Nelson?
I don't know. I think this one is probably. I don't think the Eagles would pay for Malcolm Kuntz. I think Kuntz
Okay.
is going to go for real money.
You think so? Even off the injury?
Yeah, just
Okay.
because that's there's only so many guys in this market.
Fair.
I think he's going to get, I don't know, 13 million.
Oh, then Anthony Nelson
right?
for sure.
So I'm going
Yes.
Anthony Nelson. I think he'll be cheaper. And then we get to continue him moving on. Next up, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, also from the Bucks,
Yeah.
against Azeez Ojulari.
I'm going Azeez here.
Oh, you think they might go? I mean, he's going to get paid.
He is well. Look, I've learned not to trust all these contract projections because they were off on Bond. But if he's a sub $10 million a year player, it makes a lot of sense for the Eagles.
I agree. I would be pretty surprised if he's sub 10.
I've seen some projections 2 for 15.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I would take that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, now Tryon has the drop ability that we talked about.
Yep.
I'll defer to you on this one too.
I think Azeez Ojulari, I can already see the, all our guys played with him in Georgia. We know this guy.
Oh yeah.
So let's go.
His
Let's
parents
go
bet in
Azeez.
Philly.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, Javon Hargrave against Baron Browning. This one's tearing at your heartstrings. Do you go Bojangles or do you go, you get to look like a prophet again?
I'm not trying to look like a prophet. I'm just trying to do my job. Baron Browning.
Speaking of looking like a prophet, did you see the other news in the NFL today?
No, and I don't know where you're going with this. I mean, I probably saw the news, but I don't know the transition. What's the news?
It's about a restricted free agent tender.
No, I didn't see this. What?
The New England Patriots.
Oh, okay. I did see this. Christian Ellis, the right of first refusal.
Yes.
Yes.
$3.5 million.
Yeah. What do you think?
Here's what I think. I am not saying
I need to be home by 5. I'm just saying. So it's 3:15. So
I'm not saying that Christian Ellis would have been Zach Bond if he were on the Eagles defense last year.
yeah, I'm saying that.
You're saying that he would have been Zach Bond?
No, that he would not have been Zach Bond.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he would have been.
Oh, you did the double negative. Okay.
But what I am saying is that if Christian Ellis were correctly not released from the Eagles in 2023, we would never have seen this version of Zach Bond because Christian Ellis, next to Nakobe Dean, would have been good enough in Vic Fangio's defense that we would have never seen that side of Zach Bond. And so, in a way, I do believe you could make a case that Christian Ellis was sacrificed so that the rest of the Eagles could see salvation. So I'm not saying he's a Christ-like figure, but I'm saying were such a person to reveal themselves and be focused on getting the Eagles a Super Bowl, this is what he would look like.
Awesome. We could do an emergency show on it.
I feel like I've been very nice this episode to you. I don't know why I'm getting the attitude.
Yeah, no, Christian Ellis, good for him. That's a good contract. It's a good contract. Right of first refusal deal is a good contract. I'm curious to see if a team gives him a deal and the Patriots
Do you
have
think
to
Shaq
match it.
Leonard's going to get that money this year?
I do not. No,
Okay.
Shaq Leonard's not playing. Yeah, the Eagles
Javon
may be
Hargrave or
somebody.
Baron Browning?
Baron Browning here. Yeah, I'm going Baron Browning. I do think
You think Baron Browning even with Zach Bond back?
Yes, because I stand by I stand by what I said the other day. I think Baron Browning in the role that they signed Zach Bond in last year. I think in this hybrid role makes sense. Now Baron Browning might want a starting job, but I don't know how many teams are evaluating
Yeah, I don't think he's
Baron
getting a starting
Browning
job.
as an inside backer, and so I think it makes a lot of sense here. And by the way, like I know it's a different spot than the Nakobe Dean spot, but I don't know when Nakobe Dean's going to be back, and so Baron Browning. The Eagles can use different packages. They were talking about that with Zach Bond last year, right? And I think before, because Browning, even though the edge rush numbers aren't like they don't jump out to you as you documented in your top 100 piece, I think that he has experience doing that. He has experience playing inside. There's good physical characteristics there. So I think Baron Browning makes a lot of sense in the Zach Bond role that they signed him last year. I think I shouldn't say people forget, but like Devin White was thought to be the starting backer last year when the Eagles signed him, right? It was going to be White and
by
defense.
us and by
Yeah.
the general populace, not by Vic Fangio.
No, but I think by Howie Roseman.
Yeah,
I mean, based on
probably.
the money
Yeah,
that was
but
distributed.
not by Vic Fangio.
Not by Vic Fangio.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying, but when Howie signed Baron Browning, when maybe a Freudian slip there, right? When Howie signed Zach Bond, it was to be this kind of versatile role.
Yeah, I think actually one of the lessons from this season of Vic Fangio is that the idea that he would want to play multiple packages and have guys coming in and out is wrong. I think his ideal version of the defense is to not have to substitute at all, and that's part of the beauty of what Zach Bond allowed him to do. So I think if they evaluate Baron Browning as better than Oren Burks, then maybe they'll sign him. But I don't know that I think they're going to do that, and I also don't think. Like you said, the thing about like just because you know a guy doesn't mean you want the guy.
Sure.
Baron Browning's career so far does not suggest to me that the Eagles are going to sign him to be their week one starting linebacker until Nakobe Dean comes back.
Okay, so we can go Javon, and if they sign Baron Browning, I feel good about it. But yeah, Javon makes a lot of sense because he can play backup nose. I think I saw today he got the clean bill of health note that they send out to teams. I like Javon. I'm good with Javon moving on. But I think
I'm not making the case for Javon. I'm just trying to have the Baron Browning conversation.
Yeah, I stand by what I said. I think that role, even if it's because it's not like you're looking at it like a starting role. I don't think they would sign Baron Browning to be a starting linebacker for them. I think they'd sign Baron Browning to be the third, fourth player, and he can help you on the edge if you need it. He can help. If Zach Bond goes down, he could potentially fill that role. I think that their linebackers right now are Zach Bond, of course, then Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Dallas Gant, then Nakobe Dean and Ben Van Sumeren coming off injury.
Yeah.
I don't know if now they could bring back Oren Burks, but I don't know what Nakobe Dean's status is going to be.
Yeah.
Nakobe sounded confident, but there's a chance Nakobe starts the season on PUP. There's a chance that
I would be shocked if he doesn't.
Yeah, there's a chance that Ben Van Sumeren either starts the season on PUP or doesn't look the same this summer.
Yeah.
Right. And so I also think where I'll push back. I agree with you that Vic doesn't want to have a lot of substitutions. I do think that this defense can continue to evolve. One thing that Vic was talking about, like some of the blitzing concepts in year one, and I think I think that can improve year two. I think there are things that Vic can take this defense to 2.0, so to speak. And so, yeah, I think a guy like Baron Browning who can play multiple spots is valuable for them.
I'm gonna advance Baron Browning less because of the Baron Browning argument. No offense, and just because I think Javonte Hargrave is going to get too much money.
Interesting. Good for Javon.
Don't you think he's going to get like $9 million, $10 million?
And he wasn't very good in San Fran.
I know.
Yeah, but so
I don't know.
But hey, I'm good with Baron Browning moving on.
Okay, Asante Samuel Jr. against Jaron Reed.
Asante Samuel Jr. But Jaron Reed's older.
Yeah, this one I'm going Jaron Reed.
All right, that's fine with me. I mean, I don't know if they're going to. I guess if Isaiah Rodgers leaves, they would sign a corner. I think they like Keely Ringo more than the fan base likes Keely Ringo.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And that's why, I think I could see Jaron Reed as the 1 year mercenary defensive tackle. Benjamin Santa-Justa.
People in Montreal do not talk like that. I just want to make clear. Okay, I feel like they do not. I have a lot of family in Montreal. My mother is from Montreal. I've never heard my mother go. I spoke to my grandmother recently.
Ton maman.
Excuse me.
Ton maman.
I don't know what you're saying. Your mama. You went to and not vous for her? Doesn't she deserve the vous?
Ton.
Oh. I don't speak French. I know je m'appelle Zach. J'adore les Français. Yeah. But no, I've spent a lot of time in Montreal. A lot of time. I've never heard someone go, Matter of fact, some people might find that offensive.
No, zut alors.
Anyways, Benjamin St. Juste,
Je ne sais pas.
Who's he going against?
Tershawn Wharton.
Ooh, so this could.
I'm not going 2 for your mom over Vu. I'm going 2 for you over Vu.
Okay. You can use the 2 form with me.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yes, okay. Okay.
I like that you were offended, though, that I was being too familiar with Mrs. Berman.
So I am going, I guess St. Juste here. I mean, Wharton plays the position that I think they prioritize more. But I don't know. What do you think? You know, Fran told me on St. Juste the other day, said that's a guy who would make sense for the Eagles.
Who said that?
Fran, on Tuesday's show. He
said he wasn't as good of a fit, didn't he? He said stylistically, he's
I thought he said he was. Fran's watching right now. Fran's my best French connection came from the French kiss I got. I mean, no, I did take. Look, it's not either or, Fran. Okay. All right, go on.
Remo says, I've been to Montreal plenty of times, and I feel like I'm right back there when Bo does that impression. Spot on.
Wow, okay. All right. Where you went in Montreal, Remo?
I think I'm going to go...
You going to go Wharton?
I think I'm going to go St. Juste.
Okay, good.
Again, I think Wharton is young enough that he's going to get... I think he's going to get multiple years of guaranteed money, and I don't think the Eagles are going to do that.
Fair enough.
Okay, so Benjamin St. Juste. Allez!
Sorry, Benjamin.
Now, here comes...
Oh, okay. Fran said he's not a great fit.
Not a great fit. Nick Bolton, Malik Harrison. I think we can just go ahead and move on Malik Harrison here as you get a phone. Oh, he's watching clips of himself.
No, I'm not watching clips of myself. I hit my phone.
He was watching clips of himself.
Okay.
The Eagles are not going to sign Nick Bolton, obviously, after having just signed Zach Bond. So
yes.
They're probably not going to sign Malik Harrison either, but he moves on.
Malik Harrison, though, does have the Baron Browning inside-outside.
Yes.
So I think Baron Browning...
And has played that position more recently than 2022.
Yeah.
Jedrick Wills against Elijah Moore.
Jedrick Wills as the Mekhi Becton 2.0.
Okay.
Do you disagree?
No, I think I agree. Okay. I think it's almost too obvious after the Mekhi Becton thing. But I mean, as much as we like the AJ Brown Elijah Moore connection, I think let's probably go Jedrick Wills there. Raheem Mostert against Tommy Tremble.
I'm going Mostert here. I like Tremble more.
By the way, I meant to put in Trey Hendrickson into the trade one. That's who I meant to put in for Sheldon Rankins, and it seems like there's been a report that the Bengals have given him permission to seek a trade, which makes sense after they franchise tag T. Higgins.
I was just watching that Eagles-Bengals game this morning, actually.
Your man's crunching film.
So
I think that one is where they less of a fit, Trey Hendrickson, than a Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
So Raheem Mostert, Tommy Tremble.
I'm going Mostert because I can see
Tremble's your boy, I thought.
Tremble is my boy, but I'm Tremble would be if they moved on from Goedert. So 2 things need to happen there, right?
Yeah.
You need to move on from the player, and then you need to sign the player. I know we were talking about Tremble. I was saying this yesterday. I spoke to someone in Carolina who has a good beat on the Tremble market, who suggested a 1-year deal is going to be what it's going to take for Tommy Tremble. It's going to be like a 1-year show me deal.
Vince checks in with the super chat to say, is Trey Hendrickson worth a look? To me, that is much less likely. than any of the like the Myles Garrett
Yeah.
level, because he's much older. We're talking 3 years, but like much more ready to hit that decline phase. He's still going to require a bunch of new money, and I don't think the Eagles are going to do that for him.
Agreed.
And it's also going to take draft compensation.
I think they'd be more apt to sign a free agent like a Khalil Mack, as we were talking about, than if you're talking about that age profile, than Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah,
I think
so
if Trey Hendrickson was 26, it'd be a different conversation.
Javonte Williams against John Bates.
John Bates. Fran's a John Bates guy.
Yeah, Fran did like John Bates.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll go John Bates too as the blocking tight end.
Okay.
Javonte Williams does kind of strike me as an Eagles type signing. I could see that.
Yeah.
As the new number 2, but I think they like Shipley enough that they won't prioritize that. So let's go John Bates.
Yeah, no, I think Will Shipley's going to be the number 2 next year.
Well, you thought he was going to be the number 2 last year too.
I did, and I was wrong.
Larry Borom or Ben Cleveland?
He was number 2 in the NFC Championship. All right, well, not really, just the number 2 rusher. Okay. Wait, Larry Borom.
Pound your chest about that. Watch some more clips of yourself. Larry Borom or Ben Cleveland?
I wasn't watching clips of myself. I was supporting PHLY. I'm a proud member of PHLY.
I mean, clearly you've been sending the clip around. Matt Gelb got it from you.
He actually didn't get that clip. He didn't get our short. Yeah, no, he got something. I was showing him that I mentioned his birthday on the show.
Oh, nice.
That's what it was. Yeah, no, I love when there's a clip of me on PHLY. I don't see it very often. All right, John. Let's go with John Bates.
The question was Larry Borom or Ben Cleveland.
Okay, let's go Ben Cleveland, Georgia.
Yeah, I could see Ben. I could actually really see Ben Cleveland as a stout, big monster guy.
Yeah.
All right, 4 more matchups, then we can get out of here. Myles Garrett or Isaac Seumalo?
Myles Garrett.
I agree. Michael Mayer, your tight end is a wonderland, or Kendall Fuller?
I mean, 2 things need to happen for Michael Mayer, but I still think I'm still going Michael Mayer.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I do think he's going to get traded this offseason.
Tight end napalm. John Franklin Myers or Draymond Jones? Ooh, this is a good Zach matchup.
Yeah, Draymond. I'm pounding the table for Draymond. And the comp pick formula is a big part of this as well.
Okay, well, far be it from me to argue with a table pound.
Yes.
Finally, Treylon Burks against Kyle Pitts.
Treylon Burks, I would say. I mean, I'll defer to you on that matchup.
I actually think Kyle Pitts is more like. I don't think they have any interest in Treylon Burks.
All right, let's. I'm happy to go Kyle Pitts.
All right, so on tomorrow's show, we will whittle down and crown a champion and give a one shining moment to one of the following 16 finalists: Khalil Mack, Dayo Odingbo, Anthony Nelson, Azeez Ojulari, Javon Hargrave, Jaron Reed, Benjamin St. Justa.
That's not how they speak in Montreal.
Malik Harrison, Elijah Moore, Tommy Tremble. I'm sorry. No, Jedrick Wills and Raheem Mostert. I messed up my color coding. John Bates, Ben Cleveland, Myles Garrett, Michael Mayer, Draymond Jones, Kyle Pitts. There we go.
Can't wait for tomorrow. It's going to be exciting.
I mean, you seem pretty eager to leave.
No, by the way, so you know how I read all the comments. I just found out something last week. Did you know there's now, this might have always been the case, but I just learned about this. There are...
Joe is asking in May for us to do a bracket of American Pie characters.
Yeah. There are Spotify episode comments. Did you know this? Has that always been the case?
What a terrible development for your life.
Has that always been the case, or is that new?
I don't know. I'm not Bob Spotify.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So I'm reading now those comments as well. But leave comments on YouTube. Leave comments on iTunes, or not iTunes now. It's Apple Podcasts. Leave comments on Spotify. Leave comments on message boards. I'm eager to
Why
find...
don't you tell people where you live? They can just lob over handwritten comments.
I definitely won't do that, but you can email me at zach@allphly.com anytime.
There you go. All right. Good stuff. That'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. We're back tomorrow, 2 o'clock, to conclude Quackatology and react to whatever other Eagles news develops as we prepare for Monday at noon when the league year begins, and we are live with Fran Duffy in studio for 3 hours from 12 to 3 at least. We'll see what happens. So we're looking forward to that. For all of us here at PHLY, we thank you for listening and watching. We will talk to you tomorrow. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.